Chair Wilson, we are live.
All right, we are ready to go. Sorry for the late start. We're going to call the PPC meeting to order. We do have minutes from the June 25th meeting. Is there a motion to approve that meeting summary?
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Olem, seconded by somebody, hopefully on the virtual people. Chair Jefferson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The meeting summary is approved. So we have three action or discussion items that were updates and discussion items. And we'll get through those. Mayor Olem has to leave at 6, so we're just tracking to that as well. So let's start with the projects for cost estimates and overruns. Underestimates and overruns. Mr. Longy.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson. The staff report is exactly the same material that you saw last Thursday. We went through that process to determine the next steps. I think the consensus in the room was item 2, which is a no with the petition process. To kind of address some of the discussion points from that discussion last Thursday. Thank you. I'll point out that the first step, it was brought up, I believe, actually by you, Mayor Wilson. Maybe there would be something that a request goes to the authority first before it starts to go through the process. I would just recognize that I think the authority would commonly look for staff input, and if staff's going to give input on something that is this important, it should go through a orderly, recognized, structured process. So that's my suggestion with that. We did mention several times during the discussion, and I just want to make sure we're clear with that the petition would come in as part of the call for projects process. So they would be basically incorporated into the project approvals. What that would do is put us in a position to obviously do our legally required steps as far as modeling, congestion reduction relative to cost, et cetera, that the planning side has been doing all along. It also ties the monetary issue in with the funding stream that we've put together. We basically do 2-year revenue estimates now because we do 2-year updates to the 6-year program. So I think it's important from a financial basis to not have what could be significant numbers coming in and then having to make a financial analysis outside of the normal business process. Some of any submitted petition, because I think there might have been some lack of clarity on this, and for that I apologize as the presenter. Any submitted petition would go through the process, and so if staff were to not recommend it, it would still go to the committees. So it's not like if staff doesn't recommend something, it stops at the staff level. Certainly not. It'd be like anything else. It would go through all the committees. We would also, as we do now for pretty much any major event, we would encourage jurisdiction and agency staff that has these unique circumstances to basically talk to the NVTA staff ahead of time. And that way we can get a read on it and they can get an early sense on whether it's worth their time or prepare their petition a little bit better, I guess. As far as things that we would be doing in the next couple of months, obviously drafting the policy with the selection of option 2, the petition. The deadline has moved to February to have the policy drafted. In the meantime, in addition to drafting the policy, we would be preparing an RFP for the on-call consulting services, which would be mostly directed at value engineering type firms that are used to taking a look at these type of issues. And I just want to close out with, as was discussed verbally, but was not in the written staff report, the concept of no transfers between projects as well is we're looking to incorporate in the policy. And with that, I'd be happy to reply to any questions.
Okay, questions from the committee.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. DeFerrante.
Just the last sentence, Mr. Longy, I really just want to appreciate your starting off the description of this is, I think it was effectively, it is option 2, even though the concluding summary was sort of option 1 plus. I think that bumps us into option 2. So really appreciate that you're starting off the description of this item. The last sentence you said, we discussed something that you wanted to add to the written petition that's in the packet and that we talked about last Thursday. I'm trying to remember, I didn't quite hear you, or I don't remember what that addition quite was.
It's no transfers between projects moving forward.
Got it. Okay. Well, all of this seems like I'm aligned, and I'm mindful that we talked about it Thursday, and so thanks for the description and the work. And I'm also candidly, well, with due respect to the chair, Chair Randall, I think it seems wise to both do February and also do an RFP. So thanks.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Is there some specific guidance you are looking for from us on this?
If there's no objections, this is how we'll proceed. And if there's anything the committee would like us to include and work on in parallel with this, I mean, we will be back to the committees, obviously, and obviously back to the authority.
And so before you go back to the board, you're going to go to PPC and then
PCAC, TAC,
everyone,
as well as RJAC.
Okay. All right. All right. So you will run the rounds. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions from anyone, all right, then thank you. Thank you for the update. We appreciate it. All right. So that brings us to, I lost my agenda here. All right. That brings us to the 6-year program application evaluation process. Mr. Jasper.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I don't have a whole lot to add. Our process for recommending projects for the 6-year program is not other than the discussion we're already having about the new policy. We're not expecting to make any significant changes. The one area that came up during the last 6-year program update was to do with core values and the role of evaluating alignment with core values as part of our 6-year program process. We got good feedback from several committees that we need to be careful not to effectively double count anything to do with core values, since some of our quantitative analysis does include things related to core values. And so we kind of concur with that position for now. We want to continue doing the evaluation of alignment of projects submitted with our core values, but to not incorporate that analysis into the staff recommendations and leave things as they are. So the only difference of note that I would make is that whereas for the previous 6-year program that you adopted in July of this year, we invited applicants to voluntarily submit a core value statement for each of their project applications, and some did and some didn't. And what we want to do to put things onto a more level playing field is to require everyone to submit that core value statement and to not leave it as voluntary. Simply because if some sponsors do not submit the core value statement, then NVTA staff have to do that analysis ourselves. And while we're happy to do that, and we did do that, I think it's more appropriate that the applicants make that effort to determine whether their projects are in alignment with our core values, so that we can verify that information rather than having to create it ourselves. That means everyone will be doing the same thing. It makes it more even-handed. And to be perfectly honest, I think if sponsors believe their projects are in alignment, then why would they not want to demonstrate that by making a core value statement? So that, I think, is the only change we're really going to see other than the new policy for the next 6-year program update. We keep our minds open to whether at some point in the future we do want to integrate the core value analysis more formally into our process. But at this stage, we do not propose to do that. So very, very small change for the next cycle. And that's all I have. Happy to take any questions on that or anything else to do with the 6-year program update process.
Okay. Have you gotten feedback from the jurisdictional staff on that change?
We have not specifically reached out for that feedback at this stage, but as we get closer, we will undergo early next year like a training refresher process, and so at that point we'll make it clear that these core value statements are required; they're not voluntary.
Okay. Questions? I see shaking of the head on the screen there. Questions there.
I thought you had a good question. I thought you had the question I would have, if I was wise and retiring, would have asked.
I'm at least retiring. I don't know about the wise part. All right. Any other questions in the room? All right. Well, we will move on to the next item, the NVTA update.
I am brief. I will note.
You got a half hour. What do you want to talk
Well,
about?
no. For the December meeting, which is Thursday, December 12th, we will have some outgoing authority members. 2 are in the room this evening, and then we will have Mayor Rochelle. So we will have some gifts of appreciation, if you will, to thank you for your service and tenure on the authority. But given that we met last week, I just wanted to reiterate the cost underestimates and overruns. The one thing I will add to that is that we will not try to populate the extraordinary circumstance like as discussed at the authority meeting. We can't possibly think of all of the extraordinary circumstances, but we will have a good framework for policy that we will bring forward to the authority in February. And Mr. Chair, that is all I have.
Okay. So do we have anything else? The next item was to adjourn. So
is this your last meeting as chair of this?
I was gonna say our next meeting is I could care less.
It's December? No, I'm just kidding.
No, not December. Not unless it's 2025. So that's fine. You can meet in December 25. All right. Well, that's it. It's been good to work with all of you on the PPC, and I'll see you in December when we talk at the board. So, all right. Have a safe trip back for you, Mayor Olin. And
all right.
And this is your last meeting as a member of the PPC, right?
This is.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks for being a member of the committee. All
Thank
right.
you.